Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is wintertime now. So one of the things we think about in the wintertime is how are we going to stay warm when we're sleeping, whether you're a tent sleeper or you're a van lifer or you got a rooftop tent or step van, whatever. You think about how you're going to stay warm. And today, what I'm bringing to y'all is an H-calorie Toolbox Max diesel heater. The H stands for heater, and calorie is a unit of heat. So H calorie makes more sense if you know exactly what it means. Anyway, H calorie has outdone themselves with this one. I just took it out of the box. The only thing I know about this is what I read in the manual and some of the other videos I've seen online. There's some people online that do super in-depth videos on these. I'm not that guy. I'm the kind of guy gets it out of the box, puts it together, and makes sure it does what it says it's going to do. This is an all-in-one unit with a new aluminum case. Got a lot different handles than I've ever had on a diesel heater. I'm still using my original diesel heater from 2 years ago. Might be 3, but I think it's 2 years anyway. And that thing is a dinosaur compared to this unit. This thing is super smart. It's got a smart app that goes with it. It's got a very nice display. And I'll bring y'all off the tripod and show you all this. It's got a super cool remote control. My other diesel heater does have a remote control. It's a 4-button remote control. It's on, off, up, and down. Very simple thing. This one has a super cool remote control with a CO2 sensor in the bottom of it, or a CO sensor in the bottom of it, not CO2. You see where my brain's going, right? It's very cool. It's rechargeable, so you don't have to put batteries in it. It has a temperature sensor in it. And what that means to me is typically you would have to have this on the inside of your unit if you wanted to set it like a thermostat. Well, with this unit, you do not have to do that because it's all in the remote control, which is super cool. Turn this thing on. And it reads the CO ppms right on top, and you can change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius, which is cool for us Americans because sometimes it's a little hard for us to figure out temperatures in Celsius. I don't know why it's so difficult for us, but it is. But anyway, so like I said, I just got this out of the box, and it comes with quite a lot of stuff. I'll kind of give you a rundown. So number one right off is a very in-depth manual in multiple different languages, which is super cool. When I got my last diesel heater, it had nothing, no instructions whatsoever. So I had to figure it all out. Well, let me tell you this. Everything on that front dial on my other one is not in English. So man, when I when I figured out the up and down of the heat settings, that's all I needed to know. I could do it all from my remote control. If you'd had to ask me something about it, I wouldn't be able to tell you nothing about it. And I'm still using it. I mean, it still works, but it's nothing like this. Anyway, so what comes in the box was the manual. You got this pipe for the heater here. Goes on here. It's a 3.5-inch outlet, which is a little bit odd. You know, it's hard to find the 3.5-inch parts that go with it. But then you got this unit goes on the end of it right there, so you can direction your heat wherever you need it to go. So that's kind of cool. Got your exhaust pipe. It didn't come with that screwdriver. That's mine. Got the muffler for the exhaust pipe, and excuse me, it's got a muffler hanger where, you know, if you were going to hard mount the muffler, the exhaust pipe in the muffler somewhere, it's got this hanger where you can keep it where it's not going to be flopping around and all that. The way I set mine up is outside my vehicle. I used to have my other one set up inside my that camouflage trailer. If you've been watching my channel, for very long, you've seen my camouflage trailer with a rooftop tent on it. Anyway, I mounted that one on the inside, ran the exhaust through the floor, and had the fresh air intake inside. And that worked for me for that unit. But, now I'm camping out of my new truck, and I'm certainly not going to cut a hole through the bed of the truck to run an exhaust out. So mine sits outside the vehicle on an aluminum table, and that's just how I roll. Anyway, comes with hose clamps to attach this to the front of the heater, and then it's got some hose clamps for the exhaust, so that's handy. It does have feet. It's got some rubber stopper feet that can go on here. Or, let me get these out of the package, I'll show you these. And this is kind of the way I'm gonna go because it gives it some clearance. And if you're hard mounting it to something, it gives you a way to do that. So, and it has all the screws you need right in this bag. They did a really good job of taping this up. Now, like I said, this is straight out of the box, y'all. I have not done one thing with this heater yet, but we're going to today. So yes, it comes with some nice self-tapping screws. So that's handy to have. But anyway, the way this works is these feet mount on the bottom of the unit like that. Then it's got holes here so you can screw it down to whatever mounting surface you would want to. So it's going to have feet front and back like that, which, like I said, that's the way I'm going to go. Or you can use these rubber stopper feet to connect to the bottom. So as we move on, this is an extension cable. If you got this mounted inside your vehicle, and this only comes with a very limited amount of wire attached to it. But this is an extension cable. So you unplug it from here, plug this in, and that's going to let you get it somewhere where you can have this mounted, where it's going to be convenient for you to use. But with the remote control, there's really no more need to do that because you can do everything that you want to get done with the remote control in the smartphone app, which is super cool. And also, where my other diesel heater's 12 volt only, you're either running it off a cigarette lighter on your power station or off a battery, where this one is both 12 volt and 120. So it does have just like a house plug. So if you needed to, like say if you were staying in a campground somewhere that had electricity, you can use this. You never run short on power, or you can plug it into your power station. Now, one of the things I have learned about diesel heaters over the last couple of years is they take the glow plug, it takes about 10 amps to even get it started good. So most power stations, the car plug on them is only 10 amps. So it's usually too much to run them. Now, I've seen some people, they have good luck with them. Like over the last couple of years, I've had Blue Eddy power station that wouldn't run it. I had 2 EcoFlows. One would run it, the other one would not. And now I'm using Opus power stations, and I don't know if they'll run it or not. But I know that if I use the 110 socket on the power station, it will definitely run. What I typically use for my power station is this battery. This battery will run that power station for probably 2 weeks straight without running down. So what I did was I just hardwired a 15 amp cigarette lighter plug to it, and that eliminated the issues that I was having with my power station. It seemed like when it was super cold out, below 20, it would start to run it and then it'd kick off. I'd reset it, it'd start to run it and kick off, reset it, and then finally it would work. But when you're ready to go to bed, you don't want to be standing out there freezing your tail off trying to get your power station to start your diesel heater. So anyway, that's been my experience, and I think this diesel heater with the new remote that is temperature sensing and also CO sensing, that's a game changer for me. Now, this thing holds 7 2.5 liters of fuel. That's almost 2 gallons of diesel fuel. That's a long time. Now, the manual says it'll run for 62.5 hours on a full tank. That's over a week of camping. But I watched a video not long ago. Well, I think that video came out in September, actually. Anyway, I was watching that, and he got 67 hours of run time on one tank of fuel. That is ridiculous. That's crazy. My other one, using it sparingly because, like, the majority of the time I sleep in a rooftop tent. So even on low, it would burn you out of there. So I'd run it till I got so warm I couldn't stand it. I'd shut it off. And if I happened to wake up in the middle of the night and I was chilly, I'd turn it back on for a little while. So I never really ran it all night, but maybe one time. So one tank of fuel would get me, I guess, 2 nights of sleeping like that. But this, the way I run them, this will last me, I can't tell you how long, probably a couple of weeks on a tank of fuel. It's hard for me to even imagine almost 2 gallons of fuel goes into this little thing. It doesn't. One thing that I've never dealt with is this is a completely enclosed case, and it's got about 14,000 Phillips head screws holding it together. And these things are watertight. So no matter what weather you're in, or the snow, rain, whatever part of the country you're in, you can leave this outside and feel comfortable that you're not going to ruin anything. I don't know that it has an IP rating or anything of that nature, but definitely. And I've watched a lot of the videos that people have done on this particular unit, the H Calorie Toolbox Max, and they just shower it with water, and there's no trouble. Now, this definitely is raised up. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but it's raised up. It's got a gasket seal around there, so that's good and tight. And I'm assuming that the way this case is put together, that it's super sealed around there. And I'm not going to take this thing apart to see. Now, my other diesel heater, it's got 2 latches on the sides. You pull the whole case off of it, and boom, it's just all laying right there. But this is a lot stronger, more sturdy unit. And one thing that, unlike my other diesel heater, when it came, it's just got a positive and negative terminal up at the top of the heater. It's an old school, tall, real narrow one. And you just put your hot and negative wire on there and then connect them to whatever power source you have. Now this, both the one that runs the 12 volt and the 110 side or the 120 side of it, they have plugs. They just plug right into the side of it. And you snug these plugs in there good, you're not going to get any water in there. That is crazy. Like when they approached me about doing this, they assured me that this was going to be a game changer unit. And as far as I can see, I think they're right. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen, and coolest thing I've ever had. Now, if you're familiar with the old diesel heaters, the intake side of it, you had it look like basically a cardboard tube with a black filter looking thing on it, and it was just all floppy and it was everywhere. Well, they've eliminated all of that. The air intake is on the back here. You can unscrew that and you see a fan is right behind there. So that's totally different than what we're used to for sure. And then on the back, you got the fuel window, so you can tell where you're at, fuel-wise. And then another thing they've done for us simple Americans is they put a breakdown on the front of it, Fahrenheit versus Celsius. So that helps us a lot. I can't remember when it was, but oh man, my brother Butch, we were camped out. He has the channel Before It's Too Late Outdoor Adventures. But we were trying to decipher some Celsius versus Fahrenheit, because at that, I think we were using a different style diesel heater. And man, we looked like Mutt and Jeff in there trying to figure out, you know, what temperature we was looking for. It was, oh man, it was a heck of a discussion. But anyway, uh, we got through it all. But that's, I don't know why we never uh, migrated towards the metric system, but we just didn't. So that's just where we're at. We're behind the eight ball. But anyway, this thing is super cool, and I can't remember just off the top. And I've read this manual probably 20 times, and I just don't retain that information standing here in front of the camera. So I got it all right here on my handy tablet. Some of the key things to hit on here. So from startup to producing some good hot heat is 3 minutes on this. That's about 3 or 4 minutes faster than my other diesel heater. It had a kind of a long startup time. You get that glow plug going, and then if y'all are familiar with old diesel heaters at all, you got that old fuel pump in there. It's like tick, tick, tick. I mean, it's just like tapping on metal. It's just the noisiest thing in the world. And with that diesel heater, it just never stopped. You listen to that ticking. I mean, when I'd be up in my rooftop tent sleeping, a diesel heater would be on a table beside my truck, and I could hear that ticking tick, 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 all night long. Drive you insane for the first week of camping like that. But so this is once you get past the startup, you don't hear the fuel pump anymore. And we're going to get to that. Once I'm done going over a few things with y'all, I'm going to take this bad boy outside and set it up and just see. We're going to see if it'll do 3 minute quick heat. We'll see what it does. So, got 3 minute fast heating, so more fuel efficient. I talked about the aluminum body. That's all new for this year. It has a newly designed combustion chamber, increasing the fuel efficiency by 36%. So that's great. Has the 7.5 liter larger fuel tank. That's a game changer for most folks. If you're spending any amount of time out there, and I also heat my garage with a diesel heater too. So, something like this with that much longer run time, like where I'm camping, I don't run it full time. During the day when I'm outside of my sleeping quarters, however I'm sleeping, when I'm out of there, I don't run it. I don't just let it run. But, here in the garage, having a bigger fuel tank, that's going to keep me from having to fuel it up so much. So that's pretty cool. And it talks about having the wireless temperature sensing system, which is pretty cool. The carbon monoxide detector, that's a game changer because, anybody who's smart, no matter what you're heating your sleeping area with, or if you're in a garage or tent, whatever you have a CO2 monitor in there. I mean, there's been so many people that didn't get to wake up because they didn't know about them. They're too expensive, whatever. Because the CO2 monitors are pretty expensive, even nowadays when they're super common. They're still expensive. So, but I've always had one, and I hope y'all do too. Oh, and then excuse me, talks about being snow and rain resistant. When they say resistant, I think they're saying that kind of lightly because the video I watched, them old boys was just power washing this thing, and it didn't have any effect on it whatsoever. Now my other one, the control panel, I would pull it off the front and put it in a sandwich bag and zip it up, and try my best to keep the snow off of it in the rain. Matter of fact, it wasn't too long ago, a few weeks back, me and old Butch was camped out, and it come a storm. It was cold, but it was still raining. So I had this, I don't know, it was a piece of, it wasn't cardboard, but anyway, I built a little roof over my diesel heater because I was afraid that the electronics were going to get wet. But that is not going to be a problem with this unit here. And it says it's got the all new silent fuel pump in it. So I'm hoping that's the truth. And we're going to know here in just a few minutes after I get it all outside and set it up. We'll know how silent it really is. Another thing this has, and I think is a pretty cool, it's got a ventilation setting where you're just running the fan. You're not running heat or anything like that. So for a lot of people, that's going to be a game changer too. Sometimes you just want a little fresh air. You don't need the heat, but the ventilation. Or say if you're in there inside your whatever cooking, if you're in a van or a tent or whatever, you just need to exhaust some of that out of there. That's a thought. So that's kind of a good deal there. It has a high altitude mode, so if you're somebody who's up in the mountains and higher altitudes, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, all that stuff, you're not going to have the fuel issues that you had with diesel heaters in the past. It does have 10 adjustable heat levels. It's got multiple kinds of timers. You can have this thing kick on every so often, have it kick on every 2 hours, every 5 hours. You can set it to start and stop whenever you want to. So, this thing is far smarter than I am. I'm probably not going to use it to its fullest capabilities, I promise you. But at least I'm going to know what they are. I don't know that y'all would either, but at least you'll know what they are. Oh. So, pretty cool deal there. Let me look in this manual. I know when I was checking this manual out before, I saw a lot of cool stuff in there. So it's got a clock. You can set the clock on here to whatever time zone you're in, and use the whole stop start feature. That's pretty cool. We talked about the ventilation. We talked about the altitude. I don't know if you just took it straight out of the box and didn't at least look at the manual. I don't know that it would run that great for you, because you won't know what all the icons in the display are. But it's, obviously I'm looking at the English version, and it's super simple, very straightforward manual. And like I said, my other one didn't come with a manual. Didn't come with a manual at all. And if you look the manual up online, it wasn't in English. So, and us Americans, we're kind of lazy. We want things to be easy and right up front. So you can have it in manual mode, where you can set the temperature, the speed, all of that, which is cool. Because I know, I like to sleep at about anywhere from 65 to 68 degrees. So if I can keep it right in there pretty close, I'm super comfortable. But if you're one of them people that just needs constant heat, you can put it on any one of the 10 settings, and it will just run on that setting for as long as you want it to. It has manual mode. It has constant temperature operation, so that's cool. It has automatic start and stop operation, the ventilation that we talked about. Now, something you might not know about diesel heaters is when you start them up, some of the ones that take a while is because they have to prime themselves. This one has a priming feature. You can hold the up and down buttons on the keypad, and the fuel pump will prime itself. That I don't mind waiting a few minutes for it to fire up, but that's the deal. You're able to prime this one. Then that other one, I wouldn't know if you could prime it or not. Because it didn't have any directions with it. Oh, like I said, it's got the scheduled on-off operation, and it's real easy to set all of this stuff. Super simple. You can adjust the screen brightness, which is pretty cool. Bluetooth to your phone. Like I said, that app is, from the videos I saw, that app is handy to have. Really handy. And so that's about all I could say about that. Like I said, it's the manual comes in a lot of different languages, but the English version, the only one I know how to read, is super simple. I don't know how you could have any trouble setting this thing up. And it does have a page with all the error codes that it might throw. So that's another thing. Mine, it threw an error code one time, an error code, And I didn't know what in the world was going on. I didn't know what it meant. I mean, it said E whatever, but I didn't know what it was. So, I was in a place where I didn't have service. I didn't have any data for my phone. So I was kind of up against it. So I had to find a high spot where I could finally get some internet on my phone, and I got it worked out. But with this one, as long as you keep this manual with you, you're going to know something. In the grand scheme of things, diesel heaters are pretty simple. You got a glow plug, combustion chamber, a fuel pump, and a fan. Really, when you break it all down. So it's nice to know at which part is at fault. So, like I said, it's got that error code page in the book. That's handy, real handy. But anyway, so if y'all give me a few minutes, I'm going to put these feet on here. I'll get the exhaust hooked up, and we'll get a power supply going, and we'll see if this thing really does what it says it'll do. All right, everybody. I thought I would just let y'all watch me get it into working mode so you can see how easy it truly is. Now, I've got it laying on its side, and you can see here that it has the side vent exhaust on it, and it's already wrapped with, I call it muffler wrap. I don't know what they call it, but it's something to keep the heat off of however you have this sitting, so the exhaust runs right out the side, which is a game changer because on the old ones, it came straight out the bottom, which was a problem. It was a real pain in the butt. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to use these feet, and there's a hole here and a hole here, and it just mounts up there. And we've got these screws. Hopefully this is a magnetic screwdriver, and it's not going to come back to bite me in the butt. Y'all, it's so cold out here. My hands are about to freeze off, but I didn't want my video interrupted by the sound of my other diesel heater over there clacking while I'm trying to make a video. Now, some people might find this particular set of legs intrusive, but I don't. It's exactly what I want. I like it to have a little height up off of whatever I'm working with. So this is ideal for me. Matter of fact, I got my other one mounted to two short pieces of 4x4 to keep it up off of, because that exhaust comes out the bottom on my other one, so you kind of have to bend the exhaust. And if I didn't have it up on them chunks of 4x4, I don't know what I'd do. But anyway, y'all can see this thing is super simple to set up, and if I was putting those other feet on it, it would be even easier than this. But it'd take you 5 or 10 minutes to put the thing together and get it in, ready to operate. I do have a little diesel fuel in my jug over there. I don't have enough to fill it up and do that test, but I got enough to put enough in it to run it. I've been using my other diesel heater over there to heat my garage, so it takes up quite a bit of my diesel fuel. So let me straighten this unit out. You got to be kind of careful with these exhaust pipes. They're a little bit, I wouldn't say flimsy, but I'm afraid if you tried to straighten it out too fast, you might rip the metal. So we'll get it somehow. I'm not quite exactly sure what I'm going to set it on out there, but we got that ready to go. Get one of our hose clamps here. There might be some of y'all watching that have never dealt with a diesel heater, never had the opportunity to use one or any of that. Well, the thing's already bent up a little bit. Anyway, I'll tell you what, they're a game changer from the old days. There we go. For a minute there, I thought I wasn't holding my mouth right, but we got it. The days of using the little buddy, Mr. Buddy, whatever y'all call that thing, those days are long gone now. There's no need in using propane heat unless you absolutely have to. I mean, it's good to have a backup, so to speak, but I would never use propane as my primary source of heat as long as I got any chance of getting my hands on a diesel heater, because these things are the way to go. Now, I have seen some guys who install this thing like in their garage, because there's so many applications for a diesel heater. Your garage, he shed, she shed, wherever. And so one of the guys I was watching, when he did this, he put some exhaust cement where he before he clamped it down, so he could be certain there was no he wasn't going to have any exhaust leaks. But I keep mine outside, so that kind of stuff never even crosses my mind. All right, that's going to fit all right. Get another hose clamp. Yeah, I've been such a fan of the diesel heater. Well, I tell you, when me and Butch were camped out, well, on multiple occasions, but on the last time he had brought his extra diesel heater. So, the first time we camped out in the wintertime with diesel heaters was, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of years ago now. But anyway, we had set up a cook shack, and in the daytime, we would get his diesel heater and my diesel heater and run them both up into that cook shack. So I mean, it was better not having it, but it wasn't the most ideal situation. But this last time that we camped out, it was pretty cold out, and he had brought his extra diesel heater, and that was a game changer because we wasn't doing all that diesel heater shuffling and whatever. It was that was kind of time consuming, so it worked out well for us. Get this bad boy put on there. Kind of turn it where y'all can see it a little bit. See, it just fits right up on there. Stay. So on my other diesel heater, to run up to my rooftop tent, I use an insulated dryer hose. They're really inexpensive on Amazon or wherever you get them. You may even have them at your local home improvement store. I didn't have any at my local home improvement store, so I went to Amazon. But anyway, I've been using the same one for a couple of years now, and it just works great. So that's probably when I set this up outside, I'm probably going to take it off my other diesel heater and add it to this hose. This is a lot stiffer and a lot tougher than a dryer vent hose. So it's my personal recommendation to use this as the leading hose, because the air coming out of these things is hot, super hot. And sometimes, especially that insulated one, it's got kind of a rubbery black outside. And man, you could tell it was really getting soft when the heat was coming to it. So we got it set up. I think as far as a power source, I'm actually going to take my Opus power station out there with us, and we'll use the 110 plug and the Opus power station to operate it. So I'm going to get all this outside and set up and ready to go. We'll see how it works. All right, y'all. We got it set up similar to how I would run it. It would be sitting down on that table, but I got some fuel in it. I got it connected. We're going to see what it takes to run this bad boy. I'm going to pop this out. All right, y'all. I just turned it on. I got it set on heat setting 4. I can hear a little bit of kind of hear the fan in the back kick on. I'll give y'all a look see here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but well, the lighting just ain't right. But you can see it's on heat setting 4. So that's what we're working with now. So I just turned it on. We're going to see if it's going to be up and heating in 3 minutes. Do, do, do. Oop. Y'all hear that? That's the initial startup of the fuel pump. So while the fuel pump is priming itself, it's pretty loud. And hopefully, once it gets primed and starts generating some heat, that's going to stop. Otherwise, something different needs to happen. Hold on a second, y'all. I gotta get over and get my coffee. It is cold, cold, cold out here. All right, so right now that's pretty loud, but it's starting to calm down quite a bit. I'm running it off my Opus here. Let me get y'all off this thing right quick so y'all can see what's going on. It's pulling about 125 to 130 watts as that glow plug is heating up. All right, now it's starting to pump a little exhaust out. Can y'all hear that? I hope you can. So this screen just timed itself right out. And there's the remote. So this should be showing some heat. It's been a lot less than 3 minutes. Yeah, boys. Y'all can't see it, but it's pumping heat already. And you don't hear that fuel pump anymore at all. I'm going to turn it up on high. Try to get this where y'all can see it good. There it is. We're going to go all the way up to 10. Get this thing ginning. See, now that screen came back on. We started swapping them. You can see the fan speed is all the way up. So, hey, that's all right, kids. That was definitely a little bit faster than 3 minutes. Now the watts it was pulling is down to roughly about 47 to 49 now from the 135 it was at. So once that glow plug gets his job done, it kind of calms down. Really, the only thing I can hear now is the fan running in the back, which I think is pretty doggone cool. And we're running. That's pretty minimal watts. Now, if I was running it on the 12 volt side, it would be pulling a lot less. 12 volt, a little easier to get along with than running the AC side. Oh man, that's got some good heat pumping out, boys. Whew. That is nice. So I'm happy with that, y'all. I'm extremely happy with it. And let me get y'all back to the tripod right quick. Now, I don't know what y'all know about running diesel heaters or not, but let me tell you what I have learned is a couple things you don't want to do. You don't ever want it to just unplug it from the power because that's taboo for a diesel heater. It just leaves a lot of fuel in the burn chamber and it causes problems. And you never want it to run out of fuel if you can help it. It's a lot worse to turn it off before it's ready to be off. You know, there's a whole shutdown process it has to go through. Once you hit the off button, it's gonna, you know, that fan's gonna blow. There's a process it has to go through to burn the rest of the fuel out of the chamber, and just the whole cool down process needs to happen. So never just unplug the power from it when you think you're ready to be done with it. That is, it'll cause you a lot of trouble. But that thing is humming right along. It, you know, I didn't need to prime it at all. It it primed itself. So I am super happy with that. Super happy with it. So now that we know everything is simple to put together and simple to get started running with it. So now what I got to do is, you know, get it out in the field and, you know, really test it over the course of some time. And I will do that coming up. You know, I'll get it out to the field and, you know, see how long a tank of fuel will last. But I'm probably not going to stay in the field as long as that tank of fuel will last. But we can see how, you know, running it all night on, you know, on whatever, on low or however I happen to set it, and just see how much fuel it does use. But holding 7.5 liters of fuel, that's a lot of fuel. But, you know, so far, hopefully y'all can see how easy it is to work and to work with. And this remote is super cool. I think that is it's going to be a game changer with the let's see if y'all can see that with all this great lighting I have, but it just ain't picking it up. But that's the temp sensor there, and then the CO sensors on the bottom here. But very cool unit. Very cool indeed. So, you know, I've told you what I know about it. If you look down in the description, there'll be a link to this heater and a discount code for you. And I think I think the discount code is 15%. So anytime you can get a little savings on something like this, that's great. But uh, with the initial out of the box setup and running it, you know, I'm pretty satisfied with the ease that it, you know, it didn't really take much to get it going. But you know, I would water test it and all of that, but I'm, you know, it's so cold out here that water would freeze as quick as it got on there, and I'm not going to go through all of that. So anyway, I'm happy with it, and hopefully I was able to show y'all enough about it to get you interested in it for sure, because it is definitely an upgrade to the old school diesel heaters. So I think I'm going to end this video right here, and then on my next video, I'll have this out in the field. We'll be testing it out there. Real world situation. Thanks for watching.